No one heard him cry until the night someone finally stopped to listen. The orphanage sat at the edge of the town, quiet and forgotten, like something people preferred not to think about. Its walls were old, its paint fading, its windows always closed just a little too tight. From the outside, it looked peaceful, but inside, it was anything but. His name was Kieran. At least, that's what the matron called him. No last name, no records of where he came from, no story anyone could confirm. Just a boy who had arrived one rainy evening years ago, wrapped in silence and unanswered questions. He didn't talk much, didn't play like the other children, didn't laugh, but he cried every night at exactly the same time, soft at first, almost like a whisper, then louder and louder, until it filled the entire building. At first, the staff thought it was normal. Children cried, especially children without families. It was expected, understandable. But Kieran's crying wasn't like the others. It didn't sound like sadness. It sounded like something else, something deeper, something calling out. The other children noticed it too. They would wake up in the middle of the night, pulling their blankets tighter, covering their ears. "Make it stop," one of them whispered once. But no one could, because no matter what they did, it always came back. Every night, same time, same sound. Some of the older kids started avoiding him, refusing to sit near him, refusing to share rooms with him. They said strange things, things that didn't make sense. "He's not crying for himself," one of them said quietly. "He's crying for something else." The staff didn't like that kind of talk. They dismissed it, called it imagination, fear spreading from one child to another. But even they couldn't ignore the pattern, because Kieran never cried during the day. Not once. No matter what happened, he could fall, get hurt, be scolded. Nothing. But when midnight came, everything changed. One night, a new caretaker arrived. Her name was Amaya. She hadn't been there long enough to know the stories, to hear the whispers, to understand why some doors stayed closed after dark. All she knew was that she had a job to do, and on her second night, she heard it. The cry. It started faint, echoing through the halls like something carried by the wind. She paused, listening. Then it came again, clearer, closer. Her heart tightened, because it didn't sound like an ordinary cry. It sounded broken, like something was being pulled apart from the inside. She followed the sound down the hallway, past the sleeping rooms, until she reached the far end, Kieran's room. The door was slightly open. The crying was coming from inside. She hesitated. Something about the atmosphere felt off, heavy, like the air itself was warning her not to go further. But she pushed the door anyway, slowly, carefully, and what she saw made her stop completely. Kieran was sitting on the floor, not in his bed, not under his blanket, just sitting there in the middle of the room, crying. But his face, it wasn't just tears, it was fear, pure, overwhelming fear, as if he wasn't crying because he was sad, but because he was seeing something. "Kieran?" Amaya whispered. He didn't respond, didn't even look at her. His eyes were fixed on something in front of him, something she couldn't see. She stepped closer. "Kieran, what's wrong?" And then he spoke, for the first time since she had met him. "They won't stop." Her breath caught. "Who won't stop?" Slowly, he turned his head toward her, and in that moment, she felt it. The cold, sharp, sudden, unnatural. "They're still here," he whispered. Amaya's chest tightened. "Who is?" Kieran's voice trembled. "The ones who used to cry." The room went silent, but not empty. Never empty, because suddenly Amaya heard it, not just Kieran's voice. Others, faint, layered beneath his. Whispers, crying, dozens of them. Her heart started racing, because the sound, it wasn't coming from him. It was coming from everywhere, from the walls, from the floor, from the air itself. She stepped back instinctively. "What is this?" she whispered. Kieran shook his head, covering his ears. "They don't want to leave," he cried. "They're scared." Amaya felt panic rising. "This isn't real," she said, more to herself than to him. But deep down, she knew it was. The next day, she asked questions about Kieran, about the orphanage, about what had happened there before she arrived. At first, no one wanted to answer, but eventually, someone did. An older staff member, someone who had been there long enough to remember. "There used to be more children," she said quietly. Amaya frowned. "What do you mean?" The woman hesitated. Then, "See who." "Years ago, there was an incident, a pause, a fire." Amaya's heart skipped. "A fire?" The woman nodded. "It happened at night. Most of the children were asleep. By the time anyone realized what was happening," she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. "How many?" Amaya asked softly. The woman looked away. "Too many." Silence filled the space between them. "And Kieran?" Amaya asked. The woman's expression changed. "He arrived not long after." Amaya felt something click. Something dark. "Do you think he's connected to it?" The woman didn't answer directly, but her silence said everything. That night, Amaya went back to his room. She wasn't afraid anymore. Not in the same way, because now she understood. When midnight came, the crying started again. But this time, she didn't turn away. She sat beside him. "Kieran," she said softly, "they're not here to hurt you, are they?" He shook his head. "They're just sad." Her chest tightened. "Why you?" she asked gently. "Why do they talk to you?" Kieran looked at her, and for the first time, there was something different in his eyes. "They think I can hear them." A pause. "Because I was supposed to be with them." Amaya's breath caught. "What do you mean?" His voice dropped to a whisper. "I was there." The room went still. "I remember the fire," he said. "I remember the crying, the smoke, the doors that wouldn't open." Tears filled his eyes again. They couldn't get out. Amaya felt her heart break. "They didn't leave," he said quietly. "They stayed. And now they cry every night because no one hears them. But she did. Now she did. And that changed everything. Because some cries aren't meant to be ignored. Some cries are waiting to be heard. And maybe, just maybe, that was the only way they could finally find peace.